Hey there and welcome. Today we're diving into what is honestly one of the most critical partnerships on Earth, the one between us and the incredible variety of life we call biodiversity. It's a story about what we've lost, what we still stand to lose, and, more importantly, how we can use our own ingenuity to start setting things right. So let's get into it.
And that question, man, it really gets to the heart of the issue, doesn't it? Look, we all depend on nature. That's a given. But we also have our own needs, right? We need homes, we need food, we need energy. So what happens when those needs crash head-on with the very wild spaces that sustain us? To really get a picture of this, let's head down to the Florida Everglades. Picture this. Originally, this place was this massive, sprawling, vibrant ecosystem. They called it a river of grass for a reason. It was just teeming with unique plants and animals, a world where land and water were just beautifully woven together. But of course, over the years, to better meet our needs, that whole landscape was, well, it was completely re-engineered. Wetlands were drained for farms, we built canals to move water where we wanted it to go, and today, entire communities stand where that wilderness once flourished. So, the big question is, what did we actually lose when all that happened?
Well, for starters, what was lost wasn't just, a nice view. It was this whole suite of vital, life-sustaining functions that healthy ecosystems perform for us, totally free of charge. It's work that's often silent and invisible, but we literally can't live without it. Now, there's a term for this: ecosystem services. And you can basically think of them as all the awesome benefits we get from nature when it's working properly. From the very air we breathe to the clean water we drink, these services are the absolute foundation of our well-being, and our economy for that matter.
And this really gets to the core of it all. You see, biodiversity, all that amazing variety of plants, animals, and even tiny microbes, it isn't just some nice-to-have decoration for the planet. It's the engine that powers all those services. The more diverse an ecosystem is, the stronger, healthier, and more resilient it is. And believe me, these services are things you can actually feel and see. For instance, wetlands acts like giant, natural water filters. Bees and other insects, they pollinate over 100 of our most important crops. Forests literally hold the soil in place and help keep our climate stable. So when we start chipping away at that biodiversity, these crucial services, they start to wobble, they start to fail. Okay, so if biodiversity is so unbelievably important, why on earth are we losing it? Well, the answer, pretty overwhelmingly, points right back at us and the choices we make every single day. Let's take something most of us can relate to, coffee. The traditional way to grow it was shade-grown, right under the existing forest canopy. This was great. It preserved habitat for birds that conveniently ate the pests. But as demand for coffee exploded, a new method took over: sun-grown coffee, which means clear-cutting the forest. This new way requires way more fertilizers, it causes erosion, and get this, the plants themselves don't even live as long. It's a perfect, everyday example of how one choice can have a massive impact.
And that's really the bottom line here. From the way we farm and fish to how we build our cities and power our lives, our activities are, without a doubt, the #1 driver of biodiversity loss around the globe. And just to put a fine point on this, get a load of this number: 100 million. That is a staggering number. And it's roughly how many sharks are killed by humans every single year, mostly because of overfishing. Now, losing a top predator like a shark doesn't just impact that one species. It sends shockwaves through the entire ocean ecosystem. So you might be wondering, how does that even work? Well, it creates this incredible ripple effect. First, you take out the sharks. That means their prey, like sea turtles, suddenly have fewer predators, so their populations explode. Those huge numbers of turtles then start to overgraze the seagrass beds on the ocean floor. And here's the kicker: those seagrass beds are vital nurseries for baby fish. So when the seagrass goes, the fish populations crash too. See? It's all connected. The list goes on. We've got pollution from chemicals and plastics seeping into everything. We've got habitat fragmentation, where we slice up natural spaces with roads and cities, isolating animal populations. And then there are non-native or invasive species like kudzu, which can literally just blanket and smother entire native forests. It's a real multi-front battle. Okay, I know this sounds pretty grim, but this is not a story of doom and gloom. Not at all. Because just as our actions create the problems, our ingenuity can create the solutions. This is exactly where our own smarts, science, and engineering can come in and start to turn things around. Now, there's no magic wand here, no single silver bullet. The approach has to be, well, multi-pronged. It means we have to protect keystone species, like sea otters, which are crucial for keeping kelp forests healthy. It means we've got to get serious about pollution, stop invasive species in their tracks, and this one's huge, find clever ways to stitch our broken habitats back together. And that brings us right back to where we started, the Everglades. The very same ecosystem that was so damaged by development is now a hotbed for some incredible, innovative solutions. So remember how we talked about the problems there? One of the biggest was that the roads we built were basically acting like dams, blocking that natural, slow sheet flow of water. The solution? Causeways. By simply elevating stretches of road on pillars, we let the water, the nutrients, and even animals move freely underneath. It's a brilliant piece of engineering that helps reconnect the ecosystem and let it start healing itself. And it's so important to remember that solutions aren't just about these huge, impressive infrastructure projects. They happen on every single level, from the coffee you choose to buy, to the local policies you support as a citizen, to grassroots community efforts to restore a neighborhood park. It all adds up. But, and this is a really big but, putting these solutions into action, it's almost never that simple. In the real world, every single decision is a balancing act, packed with tough choices and, frankly, a lot of competing priorities. You see, engineers have a framework for this. They think in terms of criteria and constraints. The criteria are your goals. What does this solution absolutely have to achieve? And the constraints are your limits. What's the budget? What technology do we have? And crucially, will people actually go for it? A great idea is only a great solution if it can work within those real-world limits. Let me give you a quick example. Imagine you're trying to restore a mountain meadow that's being overrun by pine trees. Okay, you could do a prescribed burn. Ecologically, that's a great option, but nearby residents might not love the smoke. You could remove the trees in the winter. Also great for the ecosystem, but incredibly expensive. Or, hey, you could just build a fence. Cheap, easy, gets a lot of social support, but it doesn't really fix the underlying ecological problem. As you can see, there is no single perfect answer here. And that right there is the reality of it all. It's a world of trade-offs. The goal isn't always to find some flawless, magical solution. Often, the best solution is the one that just finds the sweet spot, the optimal balance between all the benefits and all the costs, both financial and social. Which leads to this final, crucial point. Science is amazing. It can identify the problems, it can test the solutions, and it can lay out the consequences of our choices. But science can't make the decision for us. That part, that's on all of us as a society, to weigh the evidence, consider our values, and decide which path to take. And so that really leaves us with the big question, doesn't it? We know what's at stake. We know what we stand to lose if we do nothing. And we know we have the tools and the creativity to find solutions. The only question left is, what trade-offs are we as individuals and as a society willing to make? That's something for all of us to think about. Thanks for joining me.